Welcome to Commercially Speaking, the only commercial real estate podcast where a former Marine turned CCIM instructor tries to explain finance to his left-handed theater kid brother.
I'm Bourbon, CCIM, owner, director of Barron Commercial Group, co-founder of Hearthstone Capital Fund, and the oldest of 6, which means I'm genetically incapable of relaxing until everyone else is doing their job.
And I'm Timmy Barron, ADHD, actor, comedian, and the middle child, which means I'm genetically incapable of doing my job until everyone relaxes.
Every week. So true. This is why we work so well together.
Great.
Every week we dive into deals, data, and drama of commercial real estate.
We are on a mission to talk with investors, developers, and deal makers from across the globe until I figure out how capitalization rates aren't just yelling the rates louder.
I know you know what a cap rate is.
Well, and I know that you know that what I did know is not always what I do know.
Well, what is a cap rate, Timmy?
I know what it's not. It's not a hat size.
This is Commercially Speaking.
9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Bo, quick question. If I told you there's a guy out there who's licensed in 5 states, invests in prop tech, builds developments, runs his own brokerage, and somehow found time to pass the CCIM exam, would you assume he's a small army of interns stacked in a trench coat?
Either that or he's my former student.
Exactly. Today on Commercially Speaking, we've got a man who went from Bo's classroom to running a multi-state operation stretching from Illinois to Florida to California, while Bo still can't get his printer to connect to Wi-Fi.
That's not fun.
Today's guest. Yeah.
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 Okay.
Today's guest is the CEO and managing broker of SENW Realty, a board member of the Illinois CCIM chapter, and a living, breathing argument for not skipping class. He's bridging commercial real estate with technology, automation, and innovation, basically turning the industry into a Tesla, while the rest of us are still pedaling tricycles.
And since he used to be one of my students, we're ending this episode by giving him a pop quiz.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, okay.
It's student versus teacher, the Jedi versus the Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Nice.
Let's see if our guest still remembers who grades the homework.
Please welcome to the show,
Simon Enwia, CCIM.
Well, thank you very much for having me.
Yeah.
I took a wonderful flight that felt like a private jet, even though it was not. And
wait. You can't just start there.
Okay.
Wow.
This is how the day started.
Yeah.
He's going to drive down here because from here, he's going to drive to Louisville and go to this SIOR conference in Louisville.
Yeah.
this
Okay.
week,
Yeah.
which is, sweet.
Yeah. Sweet.
And then I think, and I'm reading between the lines here, I think he got up this morning and realized when he did the math, I can't get there in time.
From Chicago, right?
From Chicago.
Yeah.
And so he jumps on the one flight we have
Right.
to Owensboro, Kentucky, which is a direct twice a day to and from Chicago, and he flies down here on what is essentially a private jet. Yeah.
it felt like it. Definitely
Yes.
felt like it. It was an interesting trip. It was really nice. Not the typical kind of hustle and bustle that I'm used to in Chicago. And it's right. I'm actually going to Louisville. Did I pronounce that right for
No.
Kentuckians? All right, let's get that down right now.
Yeah.
How do we say it?
Louisville.
Louisville.
Yes.
Hey, that's it.
That's it
All
right
right.
there.
That's it.
Louisville.
You can even swallow it more if you want and just go with Louisville.
Louisville.
Ooh,
Okay.
Hey, that was nicely done.
Yeah.
Really
Louisville.
good.
Yes, it was. Yeah, you
So,
picked that up quick.
Thanks. I didn't actually know about the SIOR conference. Bob Knakal, who was on the show before,
Sure.
one of the real estate greats, he is having an event, and he's speaking at SIOR Fall. And so we were talking. I said, what are you going to Kentucky for? And it's, this event, and then he's doing SIOR. And I said, wait a minute. SIOR is something that I need to join. It was on my list of things to do. And so, not going to say completely last minute, but I got grinding quickly. So this is what I did. I applied to become an SIOR candidate. I got sponsored, which was wonderful. And then I went through the process, had my interview, and now I'm waiting for the voting results to be admitted to become an SIOR candidate. And then after that, I got about 3 to 4 years to show production, and then I get to become a designee. And that's one of the goals because, as we'll talk about this in a little bit later, but, I'm focusing on data center development sites, and they're essentially industrial sites.
Right.
An SIOR is a no-brainer, and it's a community of top industrial producers, globally.
Yeah.
And so and we can talk about that. We can talk about, CCIM and all that stuff. But and then I said, wait a minute, I'm going to Kentucky. How can I go to Kentucky and not see my friend and former instructor, Bo?
Yeah.
And so I asked, I said, hey, Bo, can I come on the podcast if I come to Kentucky? Can we do it in person? And I'm so happy you guys said yes, and here I am. So let's do it.
Yeah, this is great. And I'm excited to talk about data centers and what you know about that and going into that because that's a hot topic right now.
Oh, yeah.
Hot topic all around. So
before we get into all that, though, I wanted to bring something I'm not coming empty-handed, right? And so I wanted to bring something what Kentucky is famous for, and what I found out, there is $500 million of exports from Kentucky a year of this product.
Yeah.
Can you guys guess what it is?
Oh, I can guess what it is.
Bourbon.
Bourbon, baby.
Bourbon, would it be?
Okay.
Yeah, our favorite.
I do have a bottle of bourbon here. And if you can get us started, Bo, walk us through this. I know you're a pro, so you can.
Well, I am assumed to be a pro because I'm from Kentucky.
There you go.
And so I'm in Kentucky circles. I would not be a pro, but this is, of course, Woodford Double Oaked.
Yeah,
really good. It's actually my go-to, one of my favorites.
I did not know that.
Nicely done.
He does love Woodford.
I'm gonna take him to the house after this.
Oh yeah,
you're welcome to go with us. But
cool.
I've got a few bottles of these, so this will be perfect. This might have to stay here in the office. But yes, one of the things I learned though when I took a tour of Angel's Envy a couple years ago, and what they taught me during the tour was that what the bourbon judges will do. We did this when we had dinner in Chicago during the C5 conference when I was up there last.
Yeah. And
we went to Volare.
Oh, yeah. So good.
Yeah.
Delicious.
This is that was the...
Bo loves that gnocchi.
Yeah.
Vodka sauce.
I you know what? He was so happy about his order. I just looked at the waiter and I said, just give me whatever he's having, just double it.
So good.
Because, it was delicious.
Yeah. And he knows it too. He knows what he loves. Oh, this is great.
So what the guy told us to do was the first sip, you sort of do the whiskey chew. And you get it all in your mouth for about 10 seconds. Yeah. And it'll burn a little bit. And it actually turns off the pain receptacles in your tongue for about 30 minutes.
Oh.
And then the next sip is when you start to really
appreciate
the flavors that you wouldn't really taste before.
That's right. Yeah. The double oak. You can actually taste the second oak.
So now if you want to know the full truth in commercial real estate, stay to the end of this podcast, because the more we drink of this, the more the deeper secrets of commercial real estate will come out. Right?
That's so true. That's a great point. That's a good reason for everyone to stick around. Yeah.
Yes.
Here we are now. We just popped it open. Well, thank you so much.
Is this the first time that people are drinking on this podcast?
We did this one other time for our 100th show.
Our 100th show, yeah. It was just Bo and I, right?
No, because Mom was our 100th show.
Oh.
We did it one time where we played a little joke like, hey, we...
Yeah, it was at the... I think we drank to the end of season 1.
Oh, yeah.
And I forget
exactly.
It
sound like we were just shutting it down.
Right.
But yeah, man.
Here we
Welcome.
go.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Cheers. Woo. So now I know how Elon felt in that famous podcast interview where he was drinking and smoking.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
With Joe Rogan.
With Joe Rogan, yeah. So
Yeah, and then now second sip.
Oh, yeah. Oh, that's great.
Oh, that's good.
That's great.
Well, thank you, Simon.
Yeah, Simon, this is the perfect thing.
Come back anytime.
Well, to jump into it, why don't you tell us about us a little bit? Like, kind of give us an origin story that led you up to moving into and doing commercial real estate.
yeah, it's a wild one actually. So my story is not a straight line, right? It doesn't go from A to B. I didn't go to school for real estate or commercial real estate or finance at all. So I got into real estate because I had to. I got into real estate because I was broke. And I was about to get married, needed a lifeline. And it was during the Great Recession. And so coming out of college, there's no jobs. I would apply for 100 jobs. And people between the age of probably 30 to 45 kind of felt this a lot. But I applied to 100 jobs, had 2 interviews, for example, and then they obviously didn't take me. Started selling cars on the side, used cars. I'd pick them up on Craigslist, fix them up, sell them. And I saved up enough money to even buy an engagement ring to get married.
Nice. Yeah.
And then saved up a little bit more money and then, came to Chicago.
Where were you living before Chicago?
In Phoenix. So
You
I went
were
to
in
ASU and then grad school at AT Still. So I was in Arizona.
And in college, what were you? What did you think you were going to do?
Oh, so I was pre-med. I was life sciences.
Oh, wow.
History, and then also public health.
Oh, okay.
So I was going to medical school. That was the plan.
Yeah.
And then there was other things happened, like wanting to get married and then having to support a family eventually, and so that didn't play out.
Yeah.
So went to Chicago, needed a place to live, right? So my wife's family lent us $50,000, and we ended up buying a rundown condo in Chicago. No HOA, people were doing drugs in the hallway. The roof was kind of collapsing, and it was a foreclosure. And I ended up being the president of the HOA and fixing it up. My wife's family ended up lending us $50,000 to do that, to buy it. And then I put some of my own money to fix it up, and then we ended up selling it about 15 months later for about double what we bought it for.
Yeah.
Paid my in-laws back.
Always a nice day.
Yeah.
Yes. So that was done pretty quickly. Paid them back, and of course, I appreciate their trust and support. Although it wasn't under my wife's name, so they could always boot me out.
That's more incentive. This we've heard this story so many times of how people got into real estate by flipping multifamily, right? Which is
some version of this.
Yeah, some version of this. Where was it? Where was it located?
Chicago, Rogers Park.
Rogers Park. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was
Where is that?
north side of Chicago. It's like the 50th ward touches the suburbs, but it's still in the city.
Yeah.
Very, very diverse. You got, Devon Avenue that runs through. That's the main corridor there.
Yep.
And it's, Assyrians, Hasidic Jews,
Yep.
Indians, Pakistanis. If you want to travel all the world's major religions and cultures, and you want to do it within 15 minutes, go to Devon Avenue and you'll see all of it.
That's so true.
And there's peace there. So if they can do it there, it can be done anywhere.
It can be done anywhere.
Now, how
so
far
true.
away is that from like Wrigleyville and Boys Town and some of that?
I was in Edgewater in Andersonville, very close to that, because where you're talking about, that's where the target would be that we would go to, right? That's around that.
Yeah, it's
Rogers
close
Park.
by Foster.
Yeah, by Foster there. And so I was closer to Rogers Park that time. I was walking. I was on one of my walks, and I saw a guy pull a gun on another guy when I was on the phone with Dad and Jay.
Yeah.
Right? This was closer to Rogers Park than Edgewater, right? But I was on one of my 3-hour walks, which I was doing at the time. So it was close enough to walk to from where I was, so just a little bit more north and a little bit more west on your way up to Evanston, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Nice.
So basically got into flipping condos. And we did that for a while, got into a little bit bigger stuff. And then 2016, my wife and I started Flawless Holdings, and basically did a development center. It was a space where people could come to and get things done, as far as finding a broker, getting a loan, getting a real estate attorney, and then doing a build out. And so we rented out spaces to these third parties, and then internally we had a brokerage, a GC arm, and a development arm. And then we started doing our own projects, a little bit bigger, multifamily, mixed use kind of stuff. Nothing huge, but smaller Chicago style stuff. And that's that part of the journey. And then in 2017, I'm sitting around and I'm obviously hearing about Bitcoin and Ethereum and blockchain technology. So in 2017 to 2018, I started what's called Building Block REIT and Building Block Management, or BBR. And essentially what that is the first ever, well, in the U.S. anyway, it was one of the first digital securities for REITs.
Oh.
And so if you guys can kind of think back into that AMC Robinhood fiasco where they stopped trading.
Yep.
Well, they stopped trading because of the settlement times, as they claimed, being T2. And so the technology would end up allowing that to be done in T0. So it's automatic settlement on the blockchain.
Okay, hold on for just a second.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Because I feel like I'm sitting in your chair at the moment, that you know what he's talking about, but I don't. So like T2, T0, like...
I was on
Help me
Robinhood at the time, looking at the AMCs. This was around the time that radio...
What's an AMC?
AMC is a theater. The cinema.
AMC.
That's right. AMC,
Okay, gotcha,
right?
gotcha.
Yeah, so their stock ticker is also AMC.
I gotcha. Okay.
And then so they trade, stocks trade, there's a 2-day settlement time.
Yeah, okay.
And so what the technology would enable is it would enable a secondary market, because then private REIT shares could then be traded in a marketplace other than publicly. And then it also enabled settlement automatically. And so that was the first time, I would say, in my career that I got institutionalized, where I saw institutions kind of looking at me, and also me looking back and saying, this is a new world, and a lot of it's tied to real estate because of REITs. And so I had a decent real estate background at the time, not as heavy as I do now, but I had this crazy idea of doing that, and essentially had conversations with some of the top companies in the world, Fortune 500s, BlackRock, Fidelity. And so, the journey was well documented, but the SEC at the time didn't qualify digital securities. They do now, right? So now a lot of things are traded on blockchain, and you won't even know it. And that's the best part. You shouldn't know that it's you don't know how the internet works, right? You just know that it works. And so same thing with the technology is for blockchain. You don't want to see it. You just want to know that it's backing up your data and it's backing up your systems. And so now it's all over, but at the time we were really early. We were probably about 4 or 5 years early. And so we ended up shutting that down. And then that's when I focused more on the portfolio. And then
the real estate portfolio.
The real estate portfolio. Yep. And then COVID hit.
Yeah.
Right. So then COVID hit, and I'm like, what do I do? Right.
Yeah.
It's like are people going to pay rents tomorrow? Is there going to be a banking system? Like, so this is kind of like where my education came in. And I'm like looking at the numbers. I'm like, this doesn't seem like a pandemic that will take out 10% of the population. But at the same time, you don't know what's happening. You're just sitting back and looking at the news.
Right.
And seeing the daily stuff that's happening and the fear, right? Everyone knew about the fear. And so I'll tell you a little bit about what I was doing. I had to drive to Wisconsin to take, let me back up actually.
Okay.
So let me back up. Out of the business, I loved deal making ever since I was flipping used cars or flipping condos or buildings or whatever. I love deal making. It could be anything. I love talking to people. I love finding out what they need and then trying to make it happen. And so I ended up focusing on the brokerage side of the business when COVID started, because at that time you're sitting around, this is the most productive anyone could ever be, is if someone just gives you time. Mm-hmm. And so we were given time during COVID. It was wonderful. Also, I had my first daughter. And so it was a time where I could be home with her and see her grow up, which normally would never happen.
So true.
And so that was an amazing time. So there was good things that came out of it. And I got into brokerage. And so I was on a mission to get licensed. And I said, okay, well, I started looking into things, and I saw there's reciprocity rules where you could get a license in one state and then get more licenses in other states that recognize it.
Do you kind of get what that's talking about?
Yeah, well, you need a license to work in a state.
Yeah.
Right.
And some states have deals with other states that say, hey, if you have a license there, we'll honor it here.
Yeah. Okay.
Or maybe you just have to take the state portion of the test. And some states are like, no, y'all are a bunch of morons over there. Like, if you want to do business here, like, you either got to team up with somebody with our state's license, or you got to go through the whole process again.
Yeah, gotcha.
So like it's a mess.
Yeah.
Like, if you want a bunch, so like you've got 5
as a managing broker now. Yeah.
So like, I remember back in the day I had Indiana and Tennessee, but at the time Kentucky had reciprocity with both of them, so it was pretty easy to do.
Gotcha.
Now they don't with Tennessee, or anyway.
Okay.
But yeah, okay.
Yeah.
My bad. Go.
Thanks,
no,
continue.
all good.
Yep.
So
you know how this podcast works, right?
Yeah. So, and if I'm talking to Storm, you can pause it and we can kind of talk about what those details are.
Sure. I'm with you.
In case the viewers don't know at home, what and there's a whole lot of stuff I'm going to talk about that even at one time seemed like a foreign language to me. And so I looked into getting licenses in multiple states, and so I drove up to Wisconsin one day. So I'm driving up to Wisconsin, and it was like out of a zombie movie. So it's 9:00 on a Wednesday. So you would assume heavy traffic, on that 94 corridor between Milwaukee to Chicago.
Yeah.
And it's 9:00 on a Wednesday. I'm about to go take my test in Wisconsin, and I'm the only car heading to Wisconsin on both sides of the road.
Wow.
On a Wednesday at 9 a.m., which was
that
eerie.
would be.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. This Walking Dead is a picture. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I got licensed in 3 states in 10 days because of those agreements. And it's not because I was, super smart or anything like that, but because the states, no one's doing anything. And so the states had a lot of time in their hands. And so they actually processed my paperwork almost the same day or next day.
Wow.
And so that was the key to getting those licenses so quickly.
Wow.
And then I started working at SVN over in Wisconsin, and then also in Florida. And then although I didn't have any brokerage experience, I had a lot of real estate experience. And so I was able to start as a senior advisor at SVN.
At SVN, you've got, what was the low level?
It's
something advisor, and then associate,
junior, associate, and then senior
advisor. So
senior advisor.
So you got to work your way up, right?
You've got to show that you know what you're doing. So it might be based on volume or experience or whatever, but they recognized his experience.
Yeah.
And put him in as a senior advisor level. That just speaks to what they thought of him.
Right. It makes me think of, go ahead.
No.
It makes me think of what Jay when he went to college, when he got out of college, he was an officer, right?
Mm-hmm. Jay's our brother.
Okay.
Yeah, Jay's
One of
our
our-
brother.
one of our brothers,
He's in the
yeah.
Marines, yeah. So he's able to jump to officer because of taking college
Yeah, if you
after
the
enlisting.
military requires a college degree to go officer route.
Yeah.
There's exceptions, but yeah, basically, yeah, kind of like
Anyway, yeah, that's what it made me think.
Who
of.
is your-
Shout out to Jay. Love
Yeah.
you, Jay.
that. Love you, brother.
Yeah.
Whose office were you in Wisconsin? with SVN?
Jay Hintz. So Jay does a lot of. Shout out to Jay. He does a lot of senior housing. Yeah, shout out to Jay.
Look at that. Double Oak, double J's.
So yeah, Jay does a lot of senior housing nationally. So if anybody ever needs senior housing, talk to Jay over in Wisconsin.
Jay Hintz, baby.
I was there for about 2.5 years, give or take, and then in July of 2023, ended up doing my own brokerage and called it SENW, so Southeast Northwest. People have pointed out that it also looks like my email handle. I'm not commenting on that, but
You mean like first initial
last name.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So Southeast Northwest.
The Massimo Group is also not named after Rod Santomassimo.
Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah.
Yeah. What? No, look, it's kind of ridiculous people think that because Massimo does not rhyme with Rod.
That's
at
true.
all.
That's
Yeah.
true.
Yeah, that's true.
Yep.
Yeah. So
Love you, Rod.
I'll see him on Tuesday.
That's right.
Yay.
Yeah, he'll be there
So-
too in Louisville.
That's the part of the journey where I, spun this off, and at this point, I'm getting my manager and broker's license, right? So now I'm going from sales associate to getting my manager and broker's license, and then decided to also get it in California and Arizona. It's a little different there. California took about a year, so 360 hours of classes, and then Arizona was a little bit shorter. It's only 9 hours of classes. They took what I had already learned. I will say this about California. If you want to get your license there, start early and try to get everything together at once. Because if you miss one thing, the response time is about 3 months right now for even an email. Oof. So try to get things done early. And so I was oversharing even things that I thought they would ask for. I don't want to have to do any revisions because of the timetable.
Yeah.
Sure.
Florida was a great exam. I had to do the law portion of the exam, and then Wisconsin was the hardest exam for the managing broker's license.
Oh, really?
It was the hardest exam, yeah. And then Arizona had a lot of riparian and water rights, as you can imagine, right? Because of Arizona, they need it's a 100-year plan to make sure properties have access to water for 100 years. And so a lot of the exam in Arizona was based on water rights.
Wow.
So those are things that were pretty unique based on each state. And each state is different. And so there's some commonalities in real estate, and we can all talk about those, right? But then there's some unique situations and laws in each state that are unique to that state. So you have to kind of figure those out and then be on top of that.
Oh, that's so interesting. Of course there would be. I never would have thought about that. But of course there would be. And that would affect, everything I learned about commercial real estate. You got to go and meet with the fire people and the all the city people to make sure that there's this and this and this and this, and you can't do that because of this and that and this. You all know specifically what I'm talking about, right?
Just the process of entitlements, basically.
The process of entitlements, right? And of course, it makes sense that if you're in a state that's different, the Arizona, they don't got water on, right?
It's they have water in most areas, but it's a sacred resource,
right?
Compared to Illinois, where I live, and right near Chicago. And we have the Great Lakes, right? So you don't think about water being a problem.
That's right. Yeah.
We have some of the highest amount of fresh water sources around the world, right in my backyard. So, so it's a little different to kind of look through that. But started SENW, and the focus of SENW was to do something different. So I wanted to build a tech-based brokerage using technology and then hybrid offices. So the goal is to have one office in each major or each primary or secondary market that we're in, and then having a digital presence. And so it's been working out pretty good so far. We didn't actually start hiring right away. Of course, there was a few people that came on board just through, people that I knew or people that wanted to join. But we actually didn't start hiring officially until October for new agents. October is in last month.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
And the reason why was because I was building an infrastructure. So we're not VC funded, right? We are bootstrapped, and I was essentially building this infrastructure of those 5 licenses, of the the background, the digital infrastructure, and then also the support team, all at the same time. So it's a little different from what
That's all really, because when he was in my class in Phoenix in March, I think, of this year. And I remember you learn where the students are from and all that. And so he's kind of from Phoenix, but he lived in Chicago, and he had licenses in Florida and California as well. But when you're teaching a class, you don't really have a tremendous amount of time to get to know the students.
Right.
So I'm picking up on all these things that didn't seem to fit. And
Didn't seem to fit what? Like a student?
Like one person.
Oh, yeah. Right.
Like these different, his licenses aren't geographically linked.
Yeah, right.
Except for like Wisconsin and Illinois.
Yeah.
But otherwise, it's like throwing darts at a map. I'm like, what? I was like, what?
Yeah.
And then, I'd go back to teaching or whatever. So I didn't have a lot of time to chew on all that stuff. So as you're unpacking this, I'm like, oh, that makes more sense.
Oh,
Yes.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
And so I walked into your class, and there was someone and this is just by chance, there was someone in the class that I was actively engaged with as a buyer's broker, or other words known as a selling agent, and they were the listing agent and principal of a deal, which we didn't end up closing, but great guy to know, great person. We were actively doing a deal at the time. And so we would go outside on breaks during Bo's class, and Gary Martinez, a brilliant instructor.
He's so good.
Yeah. We would go outside on these little breaks and say, okay, my buyer's willing to do this much. And then he's like, well, I don't know if we can do that, but I'll let you know tonight. And so that was happening real time in class.
Wow.
Right.
Yeah.
And so, that's deal making as it goes. Commercial real estate is a very small world.
Yeah.
And so I'm, in the class, I'm seeing people that I'm actually dealing with in real life.
And if you remember when we had James Milner on the show, he was talking about the process of putting your portfolio together. Mm-hmm. Well, Simon's portfolio got approved while we were in the class on the last day. It could have been approved for him to sit for the exam the next month in Miami, which he did and got pinned. But
Yeah, cool.
And that was
a great episode.
Oh yeah.
Shout out James.
Shout out James. Yeah, that was good. I've seen that episode. But definitely, Bo and Gary really helped me on 102. And it was the information was really fresh. And so now I've kind of got my baseline. And so I'm like, what do I do? Right. I think I know commercial real estate, right? At the time, I'm like, I know commercial real estate. And so I'm talking to Faraz. Faraz Chima. He is, there you go.
Shout out.
So Faraz, who I met through social media, actually through LinkedIn, I'm like talking to Faraz on a Saturday. So he sets up his calls on Saturdays to not interfere with business. Very smart guy. And so shout out to Faraz. Thank you, Faraz. So Faraz and me talk on a Saturday in front of my daughter's dance class. And I'm like, Faraz, you're a traditional real estate practitioner. By traditional, I mean he had a master's in real estate. He has a CCIM designation and an SIOR designation, right? And he works for a national firm at the time. And so I'm like, Faraz, what do you think I should do? And he said, well, I think you should get your CCIM designation and your SIOR designation, but definitely do your CCIM. It's on par with if not better than some of the MBA programs that focus on real estate, to kind of go over the the nuances and the data analysis and the learning capacity and engaging on those topics. And I said, okay. And he said, there is a scholarship, so you should look into that. And so I did. So then that was early summer, and I took CCIM 101 with Jim Rosen and Jim Whitman.
Jim Rosen!
Yeah,
Which sorry.
Friend of the show.
Yeah, so sorry, Bob Knakal. I love you, but Jim Rosen is my favorite episode so far. And Jim, great instructor. And I say this to Bo all the time. I say, Bo, even though I love you, Jim is still my favorite instructor.
Yeah.
And I'm not offended because the rest of us just want to be as good as Jim Rosen. So that's very appropriate.
I can totally see that.
Yeah, so Jim's great. And so I had the 101 with Jim Rosen and Jim Whitman, and I learned so much from them. And it was everything that I thought I knew, right? So what's dangerous is thinking you know something and not knowing it. That's more dangerous than not knowing it.
Yeah.
And so, especially if you have a fiduciary responsibility, right? So now as a broker, I have a fiduciary responsibility. So my responsibility is to my clients. I have to make sure that I do a good job for them. And I can't do a good job for them if I don't know the product in and out. And so that was a milestone, was CCIM 101. It was eye-opening. I got to understand everything I didn't know. And so now I know the numbers, right? I'm beginning to learn, putting it together in a more, fashionable form, more institutional form, right? So now I can communicate better with some of those institutions that I made relationships with in the past. And so I applied for the scholarship, and I was lucky enough to be awarded the full ride scholarship for the CCIM Institute's program. And so that covered all my core classes, my CCR, and my exam, my sitting of the exam.
Nice.
And so, and at the
That's
same,
really nice.
it's really nice.
It's like a $15,000 to $20,000 scholarship. Pays for the travel.
It doesn't pay for travel, but everything else it pretty much covers.
Okay.
Wow. Nice.
So
The veteran scholarship pays for travel.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah.
My mistake.
Yeah. Okay.
So it was a wonderful opportunity. It was obviously a lot of great people applied, and I was lucky enough to get that scholarship. And so that put me on a path now to get the CCIM designation without a huge cost burden and hurdles that I may have had, before that. And so I said, I have this opportunity, and the way I am, I can't sit still, right? So I'm like, I'm going to take all these classes. I'm going to do it as soon as possible. And I have a baby on the way, our third baby.
Wow.
And so, I went through 101 with Jim. I did 103 and 104 virtually with a lot of great instructors. And 102, I went to Arizona. That was my last class to take. So I went to 102 in Arizona. And that's where I met Bo in person. We had connected on social media ahead of time, way before that. But that was the first time I got to meet him in person. And then, so I went from taking my first 101 class in July, applying for the scholarship in about November, being approved for the scholarship around December, and then from December to March, finished every single requirement, including the portfolio, which got approved the last day in Bo and Gary's class.
Yeah.
Wow. Nail biter, right? Because they're like, am I going to Miami or not?
Right.
And so it worked out. And CCIM for me was a wealth of knowledge that I got to learn. It was also a lot of it's networking, right? And so the knowledge you can learn or you can't learn, that's up to you how you take it. And then same thing with networking. It's all these people are there and they're there for a reason, right? And so it's your choice then to say, hey, let's talk about what you do and see how I can add value, or vice versa. And so if you remember, Bo, I would pass out the paper in class and it was, they can't do it, but I'm a student. I can pass out a paper and it's voluntary.
What he means is because of privacy issues, we're not allowed as instructors in the classes to give out the information of the students to the other students.
Oh, okay.
So when I was taking the classes, like you could see everybody who was in the class and reach out to them. You had their contact information. We're not allowed to do that anymore.
Okay.
And so most classes, not all, but most, and Simon was the guy in this class, they kind of just do that on their own.
Yeah.
They're like,
okay.
hey, if you want to stay connected, put your information down kind of thing and then
Sure.
circulate all that. But that's what he's talking about.
Okay.
So we got to do that, and I still communicate with all these classmates of mine through CCIM 101, 102, 103, 104, and even before we go to these conferences, right? So it was a big networking effect, and now I have knowledge, and I have this huge network that I'm able to tap into and provide value to, right? You never want to use your network. You want to provide value to your network, and then they just naturally reciprocate. And so that's what I've been trying to do. And now I'm coming to like the end of my real estate journey story, right?
Sure.
And I'm sorry it's taking a long time.
No, it's a good one. It's so good.
I mean, my story is a whirlwind, right? So then this last year, around the same time I started, taking my CCIM classes, I joined the Knakal affiliate program. And so I consider Bob Knakal a great friend of mine, love the guy, and I consider him a mentor. And we have calls once a month. I had a call actually during Bo's class, and I'm learning a ton from this guy. I mean, this guy has a wealth of information, and he gives back to the real estate community probably like no other, especially in his position, and he gives back so much wealth and knowledge in that respect. And so Bob's been telling me, and everybody else, but especially he's been saying you need to specialize. Stop going a mile wide and an inch deep, and go an inch wide and a mile deep. And so I've gotten to a place where now, my infrastructure is built or being built out, right? So I have the personnel, we have the licenses in all the states. The brokerage now, infrastructure-wise, is there, and it's still improving, but it's there. Now I'm able to specialize. So what do I like? Well, I like technology, obviously, right? So I do a lot of AI stuff. I built my own, crypto mining rig years ago. Obviously, I developed one of the first ever digital securities for REITs. So if you can see where this is going, it's like where technology and real estate kind of meet. And so that's why I'm now specializing in data center development sites. So why did I do that? Well, because of those reasons. It's where technology and real estate meet, and it's supplying AI. And so it was a big fascination for me. And the knowledge that I've learned in that, it's not widely out there. There's not a lot of specialization in that specific field. And there's a lot of barriers, and we can talk about those too. But that's what interests me. And so I love deal making, and I think that this is the future of what we're doing. And so I want to be part of that future. And so, and with Bob's recommendation of specialization, that's what I'm going into now. So,
well, let me pull something out of what you just said, because I think he touched on something that I don't think we've really talked about before.
Okay.
Especially my days at the Massimo Group, we got the question all the time. And I'd have clients that I'd be coaching, they'd ask the same thing. What should I specialize in? We heard that question over and over and over again. And so we'd turn it around and say, all right, answer these 3 questions. Like, make a list of your top 3 answers for these 3 questions.
Yeah.
Question number 1 is, what do I like?
Right.
What types of deals did I like? Now, you just heard Simon say, he's a tech guy.
Right.
From the jump, he's been a tech guy. It's part of who he is, part of his past, what he's good at, all that stuff. So what does he like? Tech, checks the box there, certainly with data centers. And then where's the transactional velocity is question number 2. Like, it doesn't matter how much you like something if there's no deals happening with that type of real estate. It's like bad choice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, with the AI race, United States versus China and all the implications there, and then just all the proliferation of AI and every tool that we're using and all that stuff, lots of action, lots of demand for that types of space. So you can kind of check the velocity box. And then the third one is, what am I good at? And he checks that box as well. Like, with his experience in tech, you've got, so like, when I think of what should I specialize in, which is great advice, and that's one of the things that that Bob and his group, especially in the Massey Knakal days, were so good at is they just grid systemed, and you took your little chunk of the grid and you knew everything about every building, who those people were, and they were geographic experts in their little grid. And, so it doesn't surprise me that he's getting that advice from Bob, but that's, there are people listening to this thinking, I understand it makes a ton of sense to specialize, but how do I make that decision?
Right.
Well, my advice is ask yourself those 3 questions. What do I like? For me, like I didn't really enjoy being on industrial properties. Like they didn't fit my eye. It was just a preference thing.
Yeah.
They weren't big. Like, don't make me an industrial specialist.
Yeah.
Like I'm not Chad Griffiths.
Right,
I'm not just in love with industrial real estate.
Enough to marry it.
Right.
Do you know Chad Griffiths?
You will.
I will.
Yeah, you will.
I actually messaged Chad today.
I think he's going to be in Louisville.
And so that's why I asked him. I said, Chad, are you going to be in Louisville?
There you go. Yeah,
there it is.
Right. So I asked, he doesn't know me personally. We're on social media together. And I did message him today and asked him if he's going to be there in Louisville. So
Louisville.
I could meet him and ask him a lot of industrial questions because I know he's one of the goats for industrial.
Yeah. But that's the...
Same with James Nelson. Do you know James Nelson? Right? He's industrial. SIOR, James Nelson?
New York City, James Nelson.
This James Nelson, the Insider's Edge.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because he's SIO. Or am I? No, Alan. Sorry.
Yeah,
Alan Buchanan.
Alan Buchanan.
Yeah.
Southern California industrial specialist. Yeah.
Yeah, so we had him and Chad, both of them SIOR, and both of them, man, his episode in this book, but his episode is a great one to listen to.
That's on my reading list to read next.
It's really good.
Yeah.
It's
really good.
Yeah, it's great, and I skimmed it aggressively. But having him on, seeing Chad or Alan, both of them talk about some deals or talk about industrial, it blows my mind just how much they know and how much they can steer whoever it is they're helping in the right direction, whether that means a deal or not.
Yeah.
Right. And that's where we talk about specializing.
And that gets back to the fiduciary responsibility that Simon was talking about earlier.
Yeah.
What that really means is that you're always going to act in the best interest of your client.
Yes.
Not yourself. And there are instances where those two things aren't the same. And you can choose yourself over your client. In fact, we were just talking about this. You ought to tell Timmy the story.
Yeah, sure. I mean, so I won't go into specifics as far as like which deal this is.
Okay.
But I'll tell you a little story about fiduciary responsibility.
Because this happens to just about every broker.
Okay.
What he's about to share, some version of this.
Great.
Yep.
So it's our job as a broker to get the best terms and price for the client, right? That's our fiduciary responsibility. And then during that process, we're able to make money and collect fees by doing just that. And so there's a situation where that's happened to me in the past, where I had a big deal, right? A multi-million-dollar deal with a potential 7-figure payday, and so it's a big deal. Yeah. Now, if anybody's listening to this, that's a big deal for anybody. I don't care what anybody says. Okay.
Yeah. Yes.
And so now looking at that deal, I'm like, okay, great. I got this deal lined up. We're about to sign the contract and whatnot. And so then through my networking activity and just prospecting, I ended up meeting someone. They introduced me to somebody else that happens to be a broker, and then they got interested in the same site. Now, a lot of brokers, and I'm not saying everyone does this and they should never do this, but a lot of brokers will say, oh, we're the deal's done. We're going to PSA or it's under contract. We've accepted an LOI. Don't even bother.
Yeah.
For me, that's not a fiduciary responsibility, right? I don't want to confuse the client, but at the same time, I have to bring him the best possible offer, even if it's not mine.
Yeah.
So let me break this down a little bit.
And by the way, LOI is letter of intent for anybody listening.
Nicely done.
Oh, there
High fives all around. Okay. But let's just say $1 million fee.
Yeah.
All right. And if you do the deal with this guy over here, buyer A, you get the whole fee.
Okay.
All right. But buyer B over here is represented by somebody else. And so they'll pay more.
Do you want a little bit
Maybe
more?
just a little bit more.
Okay.
Not bourbon, but a little bit more money for the property. But you only get half the fee if you go. So if we go with buyer A, I can get $1 million fee. But if I go with buyer B, I'm going to get a $500,000 fee. That's a monster's worth of difference. Now, the difference to the seller could be $100,000.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
Just very little. And so it's easy to justify as a broker to say, oh, man, I'm just going to steer them to buyer number A.
Right.
I'm going to talk about their surety to close. They're a better buyer. We got better chances of getting to the closing line with them. And maybe that's all true.
Right. Right.
So what Simon did was he's about, maybe a half a day with going under contract with buyer A.
Yeah.
And buyer B shows up and acts like they're interested. And instead of saying, oh, we're already under contract, which wouldn't be true, but would be in his best interest short term.
Yeah.
He's like, no, bring us an offer. But hurry, though. I'm expecting one from somebody else.
Yeah.
He's potentially giving away, in this scenario, $500,000 to do what's best for the client.
Yeah.
That's acting in a fiduciary way.
Yeah.
You put the client's best interest above your own, and it can hurt.
Yeah.
Financially, it can hurt.
Yeah.
But you have to do it
Gotta do it.
every single time and never flinch.
Yeah. Right.
You got to do it every single time. And it's the only way to run a business. It's the only way to act in this scenario.
Yeah.
And you know what? Short term, you may lose some fees, but in the long term, you are
Way ahead.
way ahead.
Right. Right. That's
'Cause
what I
your
got when
your
we talked to
reputation,
Alan.
yeah.
Was that right? The long term benefit of
Your reputation is way more valuable than any single fee.
Yeah. More precious than gold and silver.
Yes.
Right. Yeah. Jesus said that. Didn't he say that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Your name.
I mean, I'll cheers, Jesus.
Cheers, Jesus.
That was one of the mantras of our dad growing up. We heard that over and over again. Our name is more precious than gold and silver. And we're from, well, you're here. Like, you've seen our small town.
I love it, by the way.
And
I
like,
love it.
we're the
Kicking little town.
We're the 8th generation of our family to live here.
Yeah, so you guys came on the Mayflower, right?
No, our town was land granted to George Mason,
Okay.
like founding father, George Mason University guy.
Bill of
that guy.
Rights.
Yeah. The next generation of his family came and were involved in settling here, and that's our family, back 8 generations. So, like, George Mason's our great whatever granddaddy.
8 greats.
Straight back. So, like, we've been here for a long time, and we've inherited, and my dad inherited a last name that means some things: hard work, integrity, some things. Like, we are automatically assumed to be that way because of our last name.
It's a lot of pressure.
You said that as a joke, but it's not insignificant.
No, it is a lot of pressure.
I feel the
yeah.
pressure. Like, I want to make sure that's true for our kids.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it could take one deal for me to throw away 8 generations of hard work and integrity. I could throw that away in one deal.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Lifetime to gain and minutes to burn, right?
Yeah. So it's
Well-
So let's talk about that real quick. So
Yeah.
I want to put it out there for everyone listening. You can be 8th generation, or you can be an immigrant. We live in the best country in the world.
yes.
And anyone can come here and make it.
Yeah.
And so, I'm an immigrant, right?
Yeah.
I'm Assyrian with an A, right? We speak the same language as Jesus, Aramaic.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So predominantly Assyrians live in the Middle East, which is now Syria, Iran, and Iraq, and they're predominantly Christian. And so we're actually one of the first
Christians in the world, actually.
you go.
That's right.
Wow.
They get
knows?
in arguments with the Armenians about that. But yeah. I've had other Armenian students who have told, we're the first Christians ever. I was like, might be true. I don't know, but yeah, okay.
So part of that is anyone can do it. It's not easy, and it gets harder every year. I think it gets harder every year, with inflation, with regulatory, requirements and red tape, with the global economy. But we still live in the best country. And I think that anyone can come here and still make a living. We immigrated from the UK, but my parents had immigrated from Iraq to the UK before that. And I came to the country when I was 9. And so,
Wow.
I was able to still go through the process and still do well, even from a twice immigrant family.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. Yeah, I didn't know you left that part out of coming over here when you were 9.
Yeah. So we're here now.
Because I'm sitting here thinking as you're telling your story, just like, man, Simon's got a huge IQ. Nothing's stopping him. He's working hard. He's trying to learn and do as much as he possibly has control over to improve his life, his situation, and thinking through. It makes so much sense that I was like, so many Americans that were born here and multi-generationally here, where does that drive come from? Because immigrants, sort of like first generation immigrants as well, there is something about the work ethic, the ability to look past what you're entitled to, right? There's an appreciation.
They start businesses 4 times more often than American-born.
I've heard something like that. Yeah. And I listen to Gary Vaynerchuk a lot, and he talks about that, and he talks about a book that he wants to write of being like the kid of an immigrant or having immigrant parents or something like that. But
and there's a lot of sacrifices to it too. So like it kind of split up, my family apart because we came here legally, right? So we actually petitioned to come to the United States. My uncle lived here, and so that was a process. And so we started the process pretty much when I was really young or born. And then my brother was probably around 13 or 14 years old. And so by the time the paperwork actually came in, he was then 21. And so as a 21-year-old, he didn't qualify. So even though he was a child when we applied as a family, he was then 21. And so when we immigrated here, he ended up staying. And so, and now he's 50. And guess what? He just got his national visa approved for his immigration process to come here. And he's now 50 years old. So his process of legal immigration has taken him, 36 or 37 years. And so again, there's, big sacrifices that come to that, but it's what we did. So,
yeah.
All right. Well, let's pivot and talk about data centers.
Let's do it.
Because, man, to specialize in data centers makes a ton of sense, especially for you. But here's what I know about data centers. We don't have any in Owensboro, right? Not like, but at a very high level, we're in a race with China to win the AI wars. And whoever wins has a huge global advantage, right? So the stakes are very high. And so the governments of both countries are involved. And I've heard Rick Perry, who's a former energy secretary under Trump 1, and former Texas governor, and I've heard him talk about this a little bit. And the need for compute power is a big part of this. So we need more data centers. I get that. So that I think of this in terms of, if I'm thinking of it like story brand wise, this is the good versus evil component. There is nationalistic demand for compute power.
Yeah. Okay.
All right.
Yeah.
So there's that. Then there's the whole just natural demand. Like I'm using AI more every day.
Right.
But I'm, ChatGPT, Claude, Perplexity, Notebook LM, all the things we've had Michael Hieronymus on here to use. Like I'm using a lot of that stuff. So I'm demanding more compute power.
Yes.
And then you got all these startups. San Francisco is coming back now because of AI and the demand for those types of jobs and all that stuff. But then you hear Amazon this week announced they're laying off 14,000 people. Right. Executives.
You're right.
And they're replacing it with AI compute power. They're replacing people with compute.
Yes.
And they've announced that in the next 10 years they're gonna need 600,000 less employees
Yes.
to do what they do because of AI. And Target just announced they're going to shrink their workforce because of. So you've got positive and negatives. And then I was in Louisville last week. We had the Kentucky Commercial Real Estate Conference. We do it every year. This is the 15th year. And the Kentucky CCIM chapter, if you're in a chapter, a CCIM chapter anywhere in the country or the world, this is a great idea, and it works really well for us in Kentucky. We join forces with the Bar Association. So we take the Louisville Bar Association, maybe it's Kentucky Bar Association, and the Kentucky Real Estate, Kentucky CCIM chapter, and we put on a joint conference where we knock out all our CE in one day. And in Kentucky, we need 3 hours of law a year. And so the attorneys show up and they give us the law that we need. But we're talking about land use case law and really interesting stuff like specific deals that are happening and how, the legislature changed this law and this is how it's playing out. Very relevant stuff. And then we put on the stuff that they need, which is more the elective stuff. And it's a great day. It's relevant and it's a great event for our chapter. But I'm listening to some guy do his 1031 talk. He's an attorney and he's talking on 1031s and we get on the subject of data centers, and then you've got the NIMBYs and the cave people, and you remember what NIMBYs are? Not in my backyard.
Yes.
So okay, great.
That's right.
We need more data centers in the United States, but not here.
Not here.
Because what do data centers use?
Water,
though not as much as they used to. Like they're getting much more efficient with water.
Okay.
But what else do they use a crap ton of?
Energy.
Yeah, electricity.
Power.
Yeah.
So
Power.
there was this older gentleman sitting a handful of chairs down from me, and he's one of these data center NIMBYs. He's like, oh, man, he was talking about them like we don't have an existential threat in this race with China.
Yeah. Right.
Like, I just don't want my electrical bill going up because of these data centers over there. Because he's not using ChatGPT. This guy was not using
Sure.
the tools. He wasn't benefiting from the data centers.
Right.
So in the context of all of that stuff, take me through like what's going on with data centers and like how is your business pursuing this specific type of deal?
So I want to make a few like bullet points, and these are the ones that these are the little clips. Okay. And so number one, the vacancy for data centers right now, the vacancy for data center space, and that means like how much space is not being used or open to lease, is in the low 1% nationally.
Whoa.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, if you take that in any other market, in any other product, people would argue that's a hot product or a hot market.
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
1% retail vacancy. For the multifamily people listening, imagine 1%.
Oh, yeah.
Multifamily.
You'd be building more of that product as fast as you possibly could.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So huge demand right there.
Right.
Number two, we are, no matter what you want to use power-wise, if it's coal, if it's solar, if it's nuclear, if it's wind, if it's hydro, if it's geothermal, some are cleaner than others. Is it gas? Some are cleaner than others, right? So we all want green energy. We want renewable energy. But if you max out every single one of those that we have available at the moment, it's still not enough.
Wow.
Enough for what?
Enough for the data centers that we need to build.
The demand.
For the demand of the data centers that we need to build.
So the solution would be, and it starts with an N.
Nuclear. And so every time I see Germany shutting down nuclear reactors, I cringe because they need the power. They're going back to it, a pre-industrial age, basically, with what they're
in
doing.
Trouble.
I think so.
They're in trouble.
They'll figure it out eventually. Hopefully it's not too late. But they're an industrious country, great people. They'll figure it out. Yeah. But we are in a race with China. By 2030, data centers are going to use more than double the power that we're using now. Okay? So by 2030, we're going to use more than double the power that we're using now.
Wow. Okay.
And that's not far away. 2030 is one car lease or one car away.
Yeah.
Well, not only that, but what's the stat with China's opening a new power plant like every day or something?
Yeah,
it's something.
China, I don't know what the stats are, but China is so industrious. They have a EV manufacturer the size of San Francisco.
But not only that, but
Whoa.
if we completely cut out all our carbon usage in the United States, it wouldn't matter.
No.
Yeah, and so
because of what they're like, how much they're building the power, like coal-fired power plants, like all this stuff.
Yeah. Did
Like
you? Brief detour. Did you all see what Bill Gates said about climate change recently? Like in the last few days, last week.
Do we trust Bill Gates or not?
Well,
That's a different.
It depends on what he's saying, right?
Yeah. Is he saying what I like or not?
Yeah. He's kind of walking himself back of like, okay, so climate change, it's not going to be as awfully bad as it's been, as like Al Gore has been saying, right?
Oh.
Yeah, so that's brand new. So it just seems as, from a very, very high level, it seems as though Bill Gates is changing his tone a little bit when it comes to what he talks about.
And that must have made the conspiracy theorists' head explode.
Right? Yeah. But it could be that also he's seeing what we are talking about, the astronomical need for power that we cannot get on windmills alone.
You know what we should do? We should get rid of all our EVs so that we have the power we need for data centers.
I would love that. Simon is sitting here very patiently, ready to tell us everything we need to know.
I've ridden in his EV before, so I'm just giving him a hard time.
Oh, he's got one. Oh, fantastic. Yeah.
Yes.
I love them.
I love my
poking
EVs.
just a little bit.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
a sweet ride, man. I'm telling you.
Is it a Tesla?
No,
It's not a Tesla.
No,
It's
okay.
not a Tesla.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's
It was much nicer than a Tesla.
What is
I
it?
like it's a Mercedes EQS
Ooh.
EV.
Yeah.
And then also we got the Hummer EV.
Oh,
So that thing's a beast.
wow.
Really fun.
Yeah.
So, but I love my EVs.
Just
Yeah. Yeah.
So, so, okay. So data centers, what are they, what are the main points? It's, we don't have anywhere near enough power. There's low vacancy, high demand. And there is a race, right? And that race is scary because, if you know how powerful AI is, for example, I've never written a line of code in my life, and using two different AIs, ChatGPT Pro 5 and Lovable Pro, I was able to build a web app with its own AI chatbot, features, connections, front end, back end, in 45 minutes.
vibe coding, baby.
Yeah. Shout out to Rod Santomassimo. I know he's going to love hearing that.
So, I mean, it was mind blowing to me. And this is someone that, we have a full stack developer on payroll at SCNW. We just made an offer for two more for a junior and a senior developer. And so now they use AI tools too. So they use Cursor and some other stuff. And so I'm now talking to them. I mean, we talk daily, but I'm like, guys, what are we doing? Are you guys using the tools? And so one thing, every staff member that comes on to SCNW, they actually get a 5-day AI boot camp. And so we put them through a boot camp and we teach them how to use AI.
Smart.
And it's not because, I don't want them using AI because I can just ask AI the same question if they're going to answer me with AI. And AI also is averaging, right? So what I mean by that is if you look at the basic AIs out there and what people prompt and stuff like that, if you get enough of it, it's kind of averaging. But we don't want average employees. Mm-hmm. I don't want average staff or average brokers or agents. I want the top. And so what that means is use AI, right, to help you, but don't rely on AI to do everything. And so, but now if you look at that on another level, on a global level or a national level, like China, you cannot compete with China if they have all this power and these chips and they outbuild AI, versus us, right? It's like not an actual, arms race, but it's a kind of intellectual arms race or an industrial arms race. And so that's something that we need to kind of focus on. And the NIMBYs, they need to, and we'll talk about this.
Back the off.
But think about how important this makes Taiwan. Because that's where the chips are made.
Until it comes to Arizona at TSMC plant.
Yeah.
Which is the largest, which is a Taiwanese company, but it's the largest private investment in the United States. But yeah, you're right. Oh. How important is Taiwan right now?
If China went and took Taiwan right now, it would kneecap us. Like we would have to go protect it.
Right.
It would be World War III. Anyway,
well, they were trying to do that for a minute.
Yeah, there's been a lot of
talk about them doing
rattling about all that stuff.
Yeah.
And Ukraine right now is the training ground for Taiwan.
Oh,
if you think about all the drones and the different warfare that's being used right now, China's looking at Ukraine as a training ground and to what
so is the United States.
Happen. So is the United States.
Like Ukraine has so furthered drone tech.
Yeah.
That it's been the proving ground for that stuff, and we've been learning from them.
Yeah. Wow.
Like they're innovating on all that stuff, like how to make them go further and do more and all that stuff. And we're paying very, very close attention to all
that. This is this is just a world I'm not too privy to, like what we're talking about. Because all you really hear on the news or on podcasts or when people are arguing, it's just very like neocon level stuff, right? Where if you're going to go America first, protect America, right? But it's like, okay, if we're going to step in against China and China to not take Taiwan, if that were to be the case, you'd have all these Americans or a percentage of Americans being like, what? Why are we meddling in their affairs?
Yeah,
right.
Most,
and then it's like, well, that seems like a good reason to step in because it does benefit. Because without that, because it does benefit the country. But
most Americans would not understand the context of why it was important.
Right.
Yep.
Yes, that's right. Yeah.
And so we are onshoring a lot of manufacturing here in the U.S., which, I mean, you can talk to Chad Griffith about this, but from what I've seen on our industrial listings, the uptick of industrial from companies that want to manufacture and warehouse in the United States, it's up, right? And so now with all those layoffs too, now you start thinking about, okay, what's happening 30, 40 years from now? Well, I think if we don't bring manufacturing jobs back to the U.S., our unemployment is going to be extremely high because of AI. You can't stop that, right?
Yeah.
I mean, if AI can do 3 or 4 or 5 automated jobs, companies are just not going to hire those 3 or 4 or 5 jobs.
Right.
And so now you have to bring in different jobs. Well, we don't know how to build anymore. And so we need to do that as a country. I think in the United States, we need to manufacture more to kind of help offset those unemployment numbers that will happen in the future.
Yeah, that makes sense.
It does. And I also, if you look at history, I heard somebody say this, and I don't remember who it was, but every technology in the history of mankind has cost jobs and also created jobs that weren't even conceived of before. And so I do think that the AI revolution is going to create a certain number of jobs that we don't even understand at this point, what they are and what they do. And so it's going to create jobs as well. Now, will it be 1-to-1? Will it be one new job for every 10 it cost? No clue about that.
Right.
And so like what you're talking about, I think is very important that we get a lot of those basic jobs back.
Basic jobs.
Yeah, basic jobs.
Is that gonna be my pop quiz?
Not anymore because I just brought it up.
That was my question. Okay. What were you about to say?
Well, I have a question about data center brokerage.
Yeah, great.
Yeah, let's talk.
Especially about sites. Like give me the profile of the ideal data center property, like the dirt, like
Yep.
how big is it? All like describe for me the ideal site.
I don't care if you're a broker, if you're a REIT, if you're a fund, if you're a private owner, if you own land or industrial buildings that you think is powered or trapped power, and trapped power is basically power that's not being used at a substation or a capacitor, or a bus nearby. Okay.
Yeah.
And so if you think you have these, which would be in this day and age gold because of the high demand and low vacancy, or maybe it's lead, right? Maybe it's just dirt, right? And its better use is multifamily, or if it's a different type of use or different industrial use, whatever it is, send it over to me and I'll look at it and I'll tell you. And so, what are those things? Number one is power. Mm-hmm. Power availability. Usually, the sites don't have power, wired in. Right, they have available power to them, and so what that means is, if it's an old manufacturing plant, it could have 3 or 4 megawatts of power tied in, but the substation next door or nearby could have 100 or 200 megawatts available. And so,
by the way,
go ahead.
I have 31,000 square foot vacant warehouse with a crap ton of power. I don't know what the number is, but a crap ton is a large amount.
Yeah.
If you hadn't heard that Kentucky term. And it is next to the substation.
Okay.
Literally.
Is that 2,800?
It is.
Oh, it also has a Tisbee court.
Yes.
A Tisbee court in there. So,
Which is a sport that Timmy created.
Oh, wow.
yeah.
I need the rules for that.
Yeah, anybody, you can look it up, Tisbee.com. But we don't have to talk about it right now. But
all right, so power.
It comes with a Tisbee court. Official.
So you need power, right? And then how much power you need depends on the type of data center. And then the type of data center is also depending on how much land you have, because eventually you have to bring in those racks, right, by NVIDIA or whoever's making those chips. Mm-hmm. And so then those racks come in.
Those
GPUs, right? And so what the kind of max megawatts per acre is what we look at, okay? And this is also something that I look at, and then I send it to these big companies that want me to look for sites for them, and they're really big.
By the way, did you know that data centers are now being categorized not by square footage, but by megawatts per acre?
Wow. No.
Like, they're not even talking about how many square feet's in that building anymore. It's how much power is available
per acre. Wow. Cool.
Powered land.
Wow. Cool.
Yeah. Like,
cool.
Don't go barefoot, bub.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yowie.
Yeah.
Or as Dad would say.
So the magic number that you need is 3 megawatts per acre currently. Okay. And that's enough to build the building, build the site, build the infrastructure, and then have enough, space for the racks. Now that's for a big kind of optimal development. And that would be like, for example, a hyperscaler. So a hyperscaler is something that Meta, Google, AWS, Oracle are building. And the last conversation I had, this is mind blowing, everyone. The last conversation I had with one of these big, huge conglomerates, right, is they're looking at only now 1,000 megawatts plus. I'm sorry, 1,000 acres plus, and 1 gigawatts plus. So they won't look at something that's 800 acres. They want 1,000 acres plus.
Wow.
Now, let's talk about that, for example. So, gigawatt, what does that mean? 1,000 acres, sure, there's a lot of land out there. The U.S. is big. Well, what does that mean? So a gigawatt, if you take the city of Chicago, right?
Yeah.
Huge city.
Yeah.
Where I'm at, right? And you take downtown Chicago. If you've seen the skyline, it's a lot of buildings. It's a lot of light bulbs. It's a lot of power. Mm-hmm. All the manufacturing, the industry, the railroad, the homes, everything. It's about 0.75 gigawatts.
Wow.
And so now
a day or per what?
That's
just the capacity.
Capacity for the year, or their use for the year.
So Chicago doesn't even have 1 gigawatt.
Chicago doesn't even use 1 gigawatt.
Okay.
Yeah. So if you think about that, So now these big companies want over a gigawatt, or they won't even look at it, right? So now that's not going to come in overnight. Like there's not going to be a gigawatt available next door. So usually what that means is a lot of infrastructure. So is there a power plant? Is there a nuclear plant nearby? Is there a solar farm? Is there gas that's running to the space and they can bring in turbines and build their own to generate power? So and it's usually a combination to kind of get there, especially early on. And then after you build that combination, of the non-green energy, then you can start, getting to the capacity. Then you can connect to the grid, build the infrastructure, and then get to that capacity that you need. So,
wow.
But yeah, I mean, these are projects that it is a race. So everyone right now is looking for power, and they want it within 2 years or less. Realistically, all the utility companies can only connect you within 3 to 5 years, sometimes longer if it's more. And so now there's a big demand, and there's a big race for that.
Now, what I heard, and I read this from Trepwire's newsletter, and I don't think I had this information when we were there in March, but some of these utility companies are charging up to like $250,000 just to get in line to connect to the grid.
Wow.
So yeah, those are studies, and they are. So let's talk about the cost. We're already here, so let's talk about the cost of those studies. Those studies, some utility companies now are $1 million, and some others are. We're doing a study right now in Wisconsin, and the study is costing $14,000. Right, so not a huge amount, but still, it's still a barrier to entry. But just for a study, this is just to tell you, I will get you X amount of megawatts in X amount of time. Is $1 million.
My God.
In some of these utility companies. And I think that it's because there's just so much demand. They're just like, hey.
Because they can.
Yeah, they can. And then who's paying?
And they don't want the tire kickers.
They don't want the tire kickers.
Yeah.
And who's paying?
Who's paying?
It's some of the largest companies in the world that have all the funding are going to try to get this power. And so they're the ones that are paying.
Right.
Now, even the software, and so as a broker, so we use a lot of software, and some of the software can cost. I'm not going to say names, but some of the software costs $500 a month per user.
Right.
$1,000 a month per user, $300 per user, right? And then now I'm looking at a couple different companies that are providing us software, and it's the same kind of software that utility companies use, and the cost is about $150,000 just to get started, and then it's a lot more, per user. So it works out to be like $200,000 per user for some of these software companies.
A year or a month?
A year.
A year, $200,000.
About $150,000 of that is startup cost, and then it's about $50,000 a year per per user, and the price goes down after that.
Yeah. Okay.
But you talk about barrier to entry, right? This is an enormous barrier to entry for the broker market, right? And then also, let's talk about these deals. Well, due diligence is 18 months, 2 years, 3 years. How many brokers can say, I'm going to do a data center deal and sit and wait 3 years to do a closing, right? So now you're seeing these issues. So it's knowledge, it's your network, it's the cost of knowing, the data, right?
Yeah.
And then it's just the time. And so all these barriers
it's
are
almost
stopping a
as
lot of
if
brokers.
you need to own a brokerage company that can do business in 5 states so that you have the runway to do deals with a 3+ year deal cycle.
Maybe, yeah. I mean, I'm looking at some deal cycles right now, and I know there's 7-year deal cycles.
Yeah.
And I'm like, 7 years, right? I'll be 46 years old.
Yeah.
And so, but it is what it is, right? So you got to kind of like, all right, I believe in this deal. So as a broker now, you have to be choosy. You can't say, I'm taking this listing. Well,
oh yeah, you're taking a bigger risk than what we're used to.
Much bigger risk than what we're used to.
And the reward is there.
Yeah.
But man, it's risky, and you better figure out a way to make sure you can still bring some dollars home to mama.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, okay. Okay. Say we're looking at it. It's going to 7 years, right, before I can close on this. with all the rapid changes in AI anyway, right? Because just a few months ago, it was like, it needs so much water, right? There's a minute there where people were talking about, don't use AI because it's going to hurt the environment. Maybe they still are, but like for a minute, someone was loud about that. So when it comes to this and doing a deal or making or being in this world, it just seems like even more risk because of the unknowns of what the next few months could.
Oh yeah, I mean deals unravel all the time. Like I think there was a big data center deal in Tucson, Arizona, that just unraveled because the community didn't want it there. And so if you're a developer, right, you better go in knowing the community that you're building in, because. So let's talk about those things about land. So you said what's important? Well, it's the power at the land. Okay. The other most important thing is the community, because they will say yes or they will say no. And so even if it meets every other requirement, if they say no, it does not matter. Okay. So you need to go and educate the people in the community and let them know, and then work with them, because it will bring a lot of a lot of construction jobs initially, right?
Right.
But it may not bring in the continued jobs afterwards.
Right.
Okay. And so some of that is, well, hey, we need better water processing or waste processing. So maybe we'll invest in your city to improve your waste management system, and we'll do X, Y, and Z to help your community. And at the same time, we'll build this, data center in your community.
So that would help New York a lot.
I was in Louisville listening to the guy sitting a few chairs down from me, the data center NIMBY.
Yes.
And I was listening to him. So I started researching. I had Perplexity do a little deep research for me, And my question was, how many jobs does a data center because I was thinking through this very scenario that is like, how would you convince a community to say yes to a data center?
Yeah.
And the way you do it is you got to show them the economic benefit to the community.
Sure.
And then still sometimes that wouldn't work. Like, how would I convince this guy to do it? And so thousands of construction jobs to build one of these. And maybe that's over an 18 to 24 month period. And then 50 to 150 jobs, permanent jobs. That's not a lot.
Right.
They're basic jobs. So that's good, but that's not a lot of jobs, And so what else? What else is you bribe them with infrastructure, which is essentially what you do. We're going to invest in your infrastructure. We're going to help you,
sure,
wastewater treatments or roads or whatever,
Yeah.
The financial incentive is there to do that kind of thing to get the yes. But here's what I found really interesting. There's an attorney giving a talk on the land use, zoning, permitting, stuff like that. And he was making the point that in a lot of places, and he was talking specifically about Kentucky, but I imagine this is versions of this are true across the United States, is there are zoning rules that are essentially administrative. And what he meant was, if you check these boxes, yes, you can do that. Like, there's no real subjective oversight to it. And then I forget what he called it, but there's this other set of rules that are, this is a conditional use. And so when you see something that's conditional use, now you got to go before the Board of Adjustments, is what we call it in Kentucky, and get them to give you a conditional use permit. And so they can just decide to say no. And there's not this administrative check these boxes and there's a yes. So, if you're working on a site for a big data center in Arizona, it has its certain rules, and each town in Arizona could have a different set of rules versus trying to do one in Wisconsin or Illinois. So as the broker, you have to help them figure out, all right, who do we have to convince, and what's the process of getting them to say yes to even the idea of this?
Yeah.
Because it doesn't matter if you find the right site with the right amount of power, with the right amount of water and connectivity and all this stuff.
Right.
Doesn't matter if the community doesn't want it.
That's right. Now you gotta figure out how to educate. What does that process look like and getting on the.
So if your superpower is figuring that out and then helping the community understand the benefits of a data center so that they'll say yes, you'd be the most important broker on the planet to these companies.
And that's part of my job. Yeah. I mean, some of it is beyond the land, right? I talk to them and say, have you talked to the community yet? Because that community outreach is super important. Now, you're right, construction jobs, and that's probably the biggest initial economic benefit, right? Then it's infrastructure, and then it's tax basis. So these buildings are worth, because now, look, they cost between $3,000 to $5,600 per square foot to build, per square foot. And so if we did this,
say that again real quick. Like how much?
$3,000 to $5,600 per square foot.
If we tore down this office building and built it back, it would probably be $300 to $350 a square foot to build it back.
Yeah.
So like 10x to 15x.
Yeah, that's a lot.
On what just...
Yeah.
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 So now you have a huge expense in development, right? And then, of course, they're going to split that up into, land and then building and then equipment potentially. But either way, it's still a big expense to build the structure. And so now there's a tax basis, and that tax basis can be used to benefit the local schools, the community, and things like that. So these are all the conversations that you need to have, with the community.
Yeah.
On the development side, look at the tax basis at the same time. Is the tax basis too high? Some counties, like Cook County that I'm in, where Chicago is in, right? They are looking at charging data centers per megawatt use, not based on, comparables to the building type with other building types. So if you charge it by megawatt use, that's, it could be a lot higher. And so Wisconsin is a very data center friendly state, and all the counties are pretty much data center friendly. And so they may not charge you those same things, right? So this is a two-way conversation for both developers and the community, and so also for community outreach. So we've talked about power, right? The second most important was the community, right? Because no matter if you have everything else, if it's a no, it doesn't matter. It could be worthless, right? I mean, not worthless, but it's not for data center use. Okay, so power, community. What's next? Next is land size, right? Because if you're building out this infrastructure, you want a decent size. And so some of those things we look at are, it could be small. Like it could be, a data center doesn't have to be huge. It could be an edge site where it's a small site, 2 megawatts, 5 megawatts, 10, 20, and then that's used as an edge site and it's leased up to, an edge user or someone that needs very specific space, very small space, or very close space or proximity to what they're doing. So, so land size. And then we can go back now and talk about real quick entitlements. So now if it's industrial and it's codified to be used as industrial, it could qualify as a data center site right away. So then you don't have to go through those boards, or even administratively, you can just by right have to, you can use that. So a lot of developers look at industrial sites as infill sites for data center use.
Right.
They're not as big, so usually you cannot get hyperscalers because you can't get it's harder to get a 1,000-acre site.
Yeah,
sure.
You can get those. And so power, community, size, and then what's next is going to be water, right? So you need not only fresh water for cooling, and then you can do certain things like air cooling, which is not as good. So some cities only allow air cooling, like in Arizona. But you need water.
Because of how precious the water is in Arizona, right?
Exactly,
Okay,
yeah. And so in Arizona right now, there are sites, industrial sites that they've dug, and they've hit nothing, no water. And so they have to keep digging and digging and digging, and that gets very expensive. And so, and that's scary too as a landowner. Imagine you're like, I got land, it's worth it, right? And then they dig, and they can't get they can't get water. All of a sudden, your land value goes all the way down.
Yeah.
So water, and then after that, also wastewater. So how are you going to treat this waste that you create by cooling, your data center? So wastewater infrastructure is really important. And then things like fiber come into play, right? Is there dark fiber or really, let's say really good fiber optic lines for internet?
What is dark fiber? Like, how would you? I've never heard that term.
See, I got fiber. I don't think Bo has fiber. The fiber internet I have.
I
at
have
my house.
fiber.
You do? We don't hear. Did you? You got fiber not too long ago? Did you? Was that
They
Or when you
ran
put
it out there where I live about 3 weeks before I moved in.
Oh man, yeah. The guy who set up our fiber, he was like, "Oh yeah, you got the good," and he's right. Oh my gosh, I've just thought of a lot of curse words and spectrum, just like ugh. Yeah.
If you're a gamer back in the day, like fiber is like the most precious thing, right?
Yeah,
'Cause, like,
fiber.
you know, imagine dial up or whatever.
Sure.
So fiber, and then also not just fiber, but redundancy. Because if that fiber line cuts out and you have to be up, like uptime for a data center, let's say you have to be uptime 99.9%. Well, if that fiber cuts out, or if the grid cuts out, what's your backup, right? What's your redundancy?
AWS
Right.
had an issue a couple weeks ago, and then who just had the issue last week? It was was it Google?
I think so. There's a bunch of stuff.
So like all of a sudden we've got some of these major infrastructure backbones to the just connectivity universe in general, the AOS of things, and two of them have had an outage.
Woof.
In the last couple of weeks.
and that's not good. That's why you need redundancies for power, and for data connectivity. Yeah.
Wow. Which sounds like a whole bunch of potential new jobs for humans when you're talking about all those things, right?
Yeah.
You know,
Infrastructure. I think that the AI revolution and the data center developments are going to create mostly infrastructure and construction jobs, and then later on jobs that we may not even know about today.
Yeah.
Right.
Because there's so many new things happening on a monthly basis.
Yeah.
So
like being a butler for the AI, humanoids.
Yeah, maybe so. Getting them.
Yeah.
What would the equivalent to coffee be? Like a grease gun?
Yeah. Like a oil can.
well, you can lease a robot now. I have not leased a robot, guys. But,
But
you can lease a robot for $4.99 a month and get it delivered to your house. It's pre-ordered, and it will not cook for you yet,
Yeah.
but it will clean for you and probably do a bunch of stuff for you.
Is
and
it
so
Like
is
a
it that
humanoid
one, is it that
kinda-
one that's
like a
like
humanoid robot.
is it the one that's like they built to soft? Is it that one?
It's it looks like the iRobot, like the movie.
Yeah.
It looks kind of like that. And
Yeah.
so I mean
Yeah, because I think it was made to be soft. The one that I saw, and it's like maybe 5 foot, so it's smaller, but it has the capacity of lifting like 130 pounds or something. Yeah, like you could get it.
That's my daughter.
But the thing, yes, but the thing right now about it is actually controlled by a human. The one that I'm seeing, like a human is actually.
But I've been listening to some podcasts where they're talking about like we're not too far away from having the butler robot.
Right.
And like have one and the entrepreneur I was listening to on this podcast, he was talking like, hey, I'll probably have two. I'll have one that'll handle the grounds on my house, be kind of the outdoor dog and the indoor dog.
Right.
I'm like, okay.
I sent it to my wife, and she just responded no.
I think I would have a similar conversation with my wife if I had to.
You got 3 kids in the home. Wait
That's
until
true,
they're
yeah.
off.
Yeah.
We've seen all those movies. So
Yeah,
So-
for sure.
That's right. Because they are. Yeah, I was just listening to this morning talking about how like Stephen Hawking was like, when it gets to a point where AI can create itself, right, or generate itself, that's when we should be worried. And they're starting to do it, where the AI is like they're looking through the CEO's emails to see what they can blackmail them with, because they hear that they're about to be replaced by a better version of AI.
It's a scary world we live in. It's and you don't want another country with those tools, right?
Right.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
No, it's true.
It's scary.
Yeah.
Well, let's do this because I just looked down and we've been going for approaching 2 hours now.
Whoa!
No way.
No
kidding.
way.
Yeah,
This
I'm
is going to
sorry.
be a good one, too.
Yeah.
This is
Yeah,
going to
for
be
sure.
a good one.
So we need to pivot, I think, at this point into the pop quiz. What do you say?
Well, hold on. Right,
yeah.
before we do.
Okay.
Yes, yeah.
All right.
Yeah. No, before we do, because we talked about what we need, right? All those things that we need.
Well, we need a couple more things too.
Yeah.
Two more
Oh,
things.
I didn't. Okay.
I think there's a couple more things, and I'm
jumped
curious
the
to
gun.
hear, his thought on, okay, no, what else do we need?
I'll be quick on those. So those are what's called behind the meter. So for the folks at home, behind the meter is what's not connected to the grid, and this is power that they can bring to the data center the data center site that's not connected to the grid. And so these are things like solar and batteries, and then also gas with gas turbines, right?
Okay.
And so those are behind the meter, and those are power generation that's not connected to the grid, but later on can be connected, which are also faster. So that's gas and solar. And so those are the two things. So if we get that list, we're good to go. All right.
And so you're wanting to get your SIOR, right?
Yes.
And you're wanting to move into this space specifically.
Yes. So I'm hoping within the next 2.5 years, and this is something that I've talked to Bob Knakal about, but over the next 2.5 years, I want to be the Bob Knakal of data center developments.
Wow. Yeah. Because what I can see with you is you have a superpower to communicate. Like just in this conversation here, your ability to communicate and in a way that's you can understand, breaking it down to bullet points, that's huge. And when it comes to the whole education of communities or letting people know, this is coming and this is how it can, this and that, my communication just failed me there. But, Bo was saying that will be a superpower in this space. Mm-hmm. Have you thought about a virtual assistant? Because in order to have that superpower, you can really up that superpower by having a superpower behind you. Superpowershq.com/commercially speaking.
Love it.
Hey, we have not recorded an episode since I've met Alice.
That's
Face to
right.
face.
Yeah, we've got to.
Since we've met Alice.
That's right.
Yeah.
We've got to record a. Just you and me. Let's get in here maybe this week and talk. Talk the fall forum. Yeah.
Yes,
because that's true. Mm-hmm. That's true. Same.
Right.
It's amazing. All right. Is there anything else? Is there anything else that you can? I mean, there's so much more.
On the sites, it's do you have gold or do you have lead? If you're a broker, send it to me. I can help. If it is gold, I can help you sell it, understand it, and sell it. If it's a landowner, if it's a REIT or a fund and you have industrial properties, or you think you have powered land, talk to me and I'll see if it is powered, and the value, will be there if it's powered.
And since you just mentioned reaching out to you, what is the best way you would like people to reach out to you?
So I'm on LinkedIn, Simon Enwia, but also my email is Simon at senw.io. So Simon at senw.io. And then I did pick up a new domain name, dc.land.
Okay.
Oh,
So
dc.land. Because with all that we have talked about, I did notice that you're talking about hiring. You're in the
Yes.
process of hiring, onboarding people.
we are hiring agents that I need to replace me and my listings, because as much as I love, representing my clients and doing what's right with them, I also have, like for example, right now I have 6 multifamily listings that I need to kind of give out to a multifamily specialist broker in my office if we're hiring. So we are in the process of hiring one right now in Los Angeles. We did hire one in Illinois and Chicago, but Arizona I have 4 multifamily listings in Arizona that I'd love to give to somebody, for example. And that's not going to stop. Through my networking, I've been blessed with getting a lot of attention in commercial real estate, and so they're providing those leads to me, and I'd love to give those out to people. So definitely hiring for real estate agents and brokers. So if anybody's out there, reach out. I'd love to work with you.
Excellent. Look at that. Job offerings on Commercially Speaking. Get in there, make some money, and be a part of something new. What was it you said a second ago? Transitioning into...
He's saying pop quiz.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah!
All right. So, I think since we're switching it around this time, since we have a former student of mine live in the studio with us, so we're going to turn this around on you. And so, are you game?
I'm game. Let's do it.
Okay.
Let's do it.
So here's the rules. We can ask you anything we want. 5 questions. We'll alternate back and forth, and we'll see how you do.
Okay, let's do it.
All right.
Great. Do we need anybody need a little bit more? How we feeling?
I think a little top off.
Top off.
Move it away from your equipment.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Not near that much.
Yeah, he's driving. I'm not.
Yeah. That should be enough for now.
Yeah.
Thanks again for the Woodford Reserve double oaked.
Was this a good choice, by the way?
Oh, yeah.
I have no idea.
Oh, yeah.
It was a fantastic choice. It was. You'll see when you go over to his house. You'll see.
I just know he told me 100 proof or less is what he likes to drink. And so I saw a couple of 105s, a couple of 100s, and I'm like, and then so this one looked good.
It is a good one.
I think I have a text message with my top producer, Todd.
Top producer Todd Humphreys.
Oh, wait. He asked me, how's the bourbon selection? I said, not great, but have double oaked and Basil Hayden good enough. He said, absolutely. Woodford double oaked is my go-to. And I said, yep. I have 4 bottles of it right now, I think.
What do you know?
So that's just from a week ago. So, yes.
Boom.
I did get a gift from a good friend of mine who's a real estate attorney, Paul Ucana over in Chicago. If you need a real estate attorney in Chicago, talk to Paul. Plug right there. But
shout out Paul.
Paul did give me a gift of Scottie Pippen's bourbon.
Pippen.
Well, if it's like Scottie Pippen, it's probably real harsh going down and got a burn to it, I would imagine. And not known to be the nicest guy on the planet, I've heard. But okay. Anyway. All right. So who's going to go first, you or me?
You go first.
I'll go first?
Because that means I ask less.
Yes. Yeah. I think I'm going to focus on 102 questions, and we'll see what you remember. Okay?
Okay. All right.
All right. I'm going to go deep cut here. All
okay.
Right? I'll be impressed.
Okay.
All right. What is the formula to figure out percent basic in an industry?
Big Q over little q.
Okay, you're conflating 2 things, so I'm gonna help separate it a little bit.
Yeah.
You're thinking big E over little e.
Big E over little e.
But it's actually little e over big E.
Little e over big
That's
E.
how you figure out your LQ, your location quotient.
Yes.
Now that we have that settled, the question is, what is the formula to figure out percent basic?
Percent basic, so you divide the total basic by that line of basic jobs in that certain industry or the NASIC code.
Okay, you went back to big E, little e,
okay,
and then you flipped it.
This is so fun for me.
Okay, we'll put you out of your misery. It's LQ minus 1.
Okay.
Divided by the LQ.
Okay, so I got that wrong.
Percent basic.
Wrong.
Now, look, I will tell you this. If
Would you like to squeeze the brain in the mic?
Squeeze the brain.
Yeah.
So look.
There you go.
I bet there's not 2 students who have taken 102 in the last year that would have got that question. Like, that is a deep cut.
That's a very deep cut. And I scored, I think I scored 94% on his exam.
Ooh.
Yeah.
That's good.
And so I'm good at taking tests, but I have a bad memory.
Yeah.
So
okay.
There you go. And then I don't do a lot of void analysis or analysis on retail or things like that. So
your absorption percentage is a little low. All right, I got one for you.
Ask me more qualitative questions than quantitative questions.
I don't even know what that means, but I think you'll like this one. What is a cap rate?
Okay. Okay. So it's the size of your hat measurement in the back.
Yes,
your
in the
cap.
back.
Yeah.
No. That's right. That's it.
I took it from you.
Okay.
So cap rate, or for everyone at home, is a capitalization rate,
Yes.
right? So you need to basically figure that out by taking the NOI divided by your purchase price, right?
The value.
And then the value, and then your total value. So it could be a purchase price plus some fees, but basically your NOI divided by your total value, and that gives you the capitalization rate. But be careful. Can I answer
please.
bonus points? Be careful with that, because a cap rate can be a different cap rate depending on who's looking at it or what they're quantifying the data as. And so, is it a cap rate based on as is numbers? Is it a cap rate based on trailing 12 or future 12? Is it a cap rate based on a pro forma that they're assuming or assumptions? And so a funny one that I saw was a cap rate, but then I looked at it and I was like, this doesn't make sense. The NOI doesn't make sense. So I talked to the agent. I said, what is this cap rate? Where are you getting this cap rate from? And they said, oh, we took all the increases in the rent over 5 years, and then we averaged that cap rate, and that's the cap rate that we put up there. So that's a very, very long kind of winded pro forma plus kind of review on a cap rate. So
That's called manipulation.
Yeah, that
Bordering
is, yeah.
fraud. That's what that is. Okay,
So-
that is not okay. That is not okay. Don't do that.
Yes,
So
yeah.
don't do that. And I always say this: never buy the cap rate, buy the real estate.
Yes, right. That's
okay.
true. And just to clarify, the cap rate should always be as is, right?
No,
So-
not necessarily.
Yeah. Okay.
And that not necessarily is why we have so many different versions of.
And
of
that's, he said it, a lot of times you'll take your trailing 12, figure out what the net operating income is over the last 12 months,
Right.
and then capitalize that to get the value. What he's talking about is stepping in day one, all right, what did I just buy over the next 12 months?
Right.
What is my NOI on year one of actually owning it? So what it's the next 12 months.
Ah.
That I think is a more appropriate thing to capitalize to get value.
Yeah.
But you'll see shifts in the market depending on where we are in the market cycle and what kind of normative is. And a lot of times you can't tell. So you got to call somebody and talk through it and make sure you understand. Just like when somebody tells you it's a triple net lease,
Right.
I kind of need to read the lease.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or you need to explain to me in explicit detail what you mean when you say triple net, because
yeah.
it's all over the place. But yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Nice. All right.
Right.
One
Good.
or
Nice
two.
job.
One of two.
One or two.
Yeah.
One or two.
Yeah, that's good.
All right, now you brought this up, or maybe you brought this up in class. We emphasized this as it being the thing that trips up people in class because it's too simple, and that is how to calculate absorption. So, what is the formula for calculating absorption?
Formula for calculating absorption. It was, man. I'm Gary
Well,
Martinez.
talk it
I'm
through me.
sorry, Gary.
Talk it through with me. Like, what is absorption?
So absorption is how many users are taking space in a certain market in a certain product
Over a certain period of time.
over a certain period of time.
So I would just tweak that a little bit. You're not counting the amount of users. You're counting the amount of space that becomes occupied in a certain geography over a certain period of time. And the way you figure that out is what's occupied at the end of that period of time
Yeah.
minus what was occupied at the beginning of that
Yeah.
period of time. And that's it.
And that was that. I remember that on the exam too. And that was a good one that I did get right.
I'm sure.
So it was, yeah. So it's, and then you figure that out also by what's being built, right?
No, you do not at all consider the supply side of the equation. It is only a
Only
demand.
demand.
It's only demand. And so in the questions they would ask you, they're asking you things and they're giving you information about the pipeline and the supply side of things, and you just got to cross that stuff out.
Yeah.
It's end of year occupied minus beginning of year occupied. That's it.
See, I should have done, Timmy, I should have done my review before I came in here.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah, you should have. You could have reached out to me. I would have told you.
I think Gary Martinez is going to block me now. He's going to say, this guy doesn't, he doesn't know his stuff.
All right.
All right.
You're up.
What is an absolute triple net lease? Or NNN lease? That's a triple net, right? That's what that means?
Yeah.
What's
so
it? Yeah.
triple net is basically if you're now let's look at this from this perspective of the tenant,
Okay.
right?
Yeah.
And because most people, that's how they look at it.
Sure.
So if it's a triple net lease, you have a base rent, and everything in your triple net is what are the CAMs or the area expenses or the expenses that are used to operate that building.
Yeah.
And so it can be maintenance, building insurance, taxes, basically everything that you could think of that's not a tenant improvement itself, like the tenant's building something, but everything outside of that is a triple net expense. And those are variable. Those will change based on what's happening. And so that is basically, it's a base rent plus all the expenses. And those are variable. Versus a gross lease, which is the complete opposite, which is an all-in lease where everything is wrapped together.
Yep.
And the tenant doesn't care what the taxes are, insurance is, maintenance is for the building. It's just what they're paying, every month out of their pocket. So those are the two differences. And that was a triple net lease.
Yeah, an absolute triple net. So essentially the tenant owns the property without having to buy it, right?
They operate like the owner. They pay for everything.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Ding, 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 ding. Wait, no, 3 dings. Ding, ding, ding. That's it.
Triple net.
Yeah, absolute triple net. Correct answer.
All right.
Yeah. Ooh, woo, woo.
Question 5.
Yeah. Did you get question 3 right? I was thinking about my
Not
next
really.
question.
Like,
No.
what he got right was the concept of absorption,
Oh, yeah. Okay.
but the actual calculation, he, like everybody else, tends to overcomplicate.
Yeah.
Overcomplicate.
Overcomplicate. Like the word overcomplicate.
Now look. If I see it, I'll know it.
Oh yeah, yeah.
But
yeah.
as a
Yeah,
formula,
no question.
like
Yeah.
reading on top of your head, my memory's really bad.
Yeah. No.
And this bourbon is not helping.
All right. Well, question 5. Explain to me the difference between a basic job and a non-basic job.
Oh, this is very good. I like this one. I love and I have created an explanation for this, which I like telling people. And now you tell me, as the 102 expert, if my explanation is a relatable one and if it's good.
Okay.
So
Great.
So a basic job, right, is a job where you are importing money and exporting goods or services. Okay?
Exactly right.
Ding, ding.
And a non-basic job is one that's developed because of basic jobs in general. And that is a support job, like things like a cashier, where you're not exporting goods and services, but you're providing services to the local economy. And those non-basic jobs are made because people have money from basic jobs. So like a cashier, a waitress,
An attorney.
an attorney,
A doctor.
yeah,
Barber.
yeah.
Barber. Yeah.
So
Realtor,
how was my explanation of
Yeah.
importing, exporting goods and services and money?
I mean, that's exactly what it is.
Yeah. Boom.
If
yeah.
you create a good or a service that leaves your local economy, and in return, new dollar bills come, that's a basic job.
Yeah.
And those are the jobs that have multipliers because they create the demand for the service jobs,
That's right.
which
That's
are
right.
everything from the only thing I would say is be careful of using the cashier as the example. It's absolutely true, but it infers
It's a low
that it's a low
paying
paying job, and it has nothing to do with how much. Like an attorney is almost always a non-basic job.
Yeah.
Realtors are mostly non-basic jobs.
Yeah.
Doctors are almost always non-basic jobs.
Can
They're
I-
serving the local community.
Can I ask you something in that environment. So over time, I've kind of done those studies based on different areas. And from what I'm seeing is, and I may be wrong, but the trend of what I'm seeing is places with good economies tend to have bigger basic EBM or basic, job multipliers versus places with bad economies. So even if it's a really good manufacturing job that you're bringing to a bad economy, the multiplier is not as good. And that's kind of what I'm seeing in some of those, scenarios that I've pulled. And maybe it's just those.
That's a good question.
I would say that it's more nuanced than that. So it's going to be one of those where it depends on numerous other factors. But I would say, as an observation, that could be pretty good. I would say more often your larger communities generally have larger economic-based multipliers, and your smaller communities generally have smaller ones. But that's not always the case. Because if you think about it, the smaller the economic-based multiplier is, the bigger the percentage of basic jobs there are. Like your denominator's bigger.
Yeah.
And in the economic-based multiplier calculation, your denominator is the amount of basic jobs. So it is not that simple, but that would be a data point to consider.
And it could be industry specific, right? So like if one community has a really good industry, like, manufacturing jobs, and you bring those in, or telecommunication jobs, and you bring more telecommunications jobs.
Yeah, like you could potentially determine that tech jobs have a higher economic-based multiplier than manufacturing jobs, both of which are basic jobs. But because they're different from each other, maybe one has more of a multiplier than the other. I don't know if that's the case or not. But therefore, if you have a really good economy and it's full of tech jobs, you could expect to have a higher base multiplier. But I don't know. I've never really thought about that before.
Yeah, that's a good question. That's a good question.
So I got 3.5 out of 5. Is that did I pass?
Yeah.
I would say.
Oh, dude, you
I would have
passed when
given
you
you half
showed
a
up.
point for that. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd say 3.5 out of 5.
All
I
right.
would.
So I have a question for Timmy.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So Timmy.
Yeah.
Now this will prove if I'm been a good informational guest or not.
Sure.
A good guest, that's a whole other story. We can talk
Yeah.
about that later, but a good informational guest.
Yeah.
Okay, so what do you think, now that we've talked about it,
Sure.
what do you think data centers need? And then do you think they're good for the U.S. or bad for the U.S.?
Oh, interesting. Okay. Well, here's what I've learned from you about what data centers need. They need power. They need land. They need permission from the community. Is that what you're asking? Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, great. Permission from the community. And there was a couple other, water. And I think there was one more thing that you mentioned specifically.
What you have at home.
An extension cord.
Yeah.
So that you can be connected.
Connected. Yeah, right? You need to be
connectivity.
connected. Yeah,
Yeah.
fiber.
You got it.
Fiber. And then what was the second part?
Do you think the demand is justified?
Yes. So especially in the context of being in an arms race against China, then yes, 100%. We need them. We need to figure out how to get more of them and the most efficient ways to get them and educate people about them. Yeah, I would say yes, based on everything that we talked about.
So for all the communities out there, listen to Timmy.
Perfect.
It's not coming from Simon. Yeah, listen to me. I'm the one to be listened to.
Well, perfect.
This is great. I'm glad you got a couple questions in for me too.
Yeah. Great conversation.
Is there any other place that people can follow you that we haven't talked about already?
Oh, you know what? We do have a forum. It's a real estate forum. It's free. It's secure. It's for everyone, no matter what company you work in, or if you have any real estate interest as part of our tech stack. But forum.senw.io. And that is an open forum with no ads and for just people to talk about all topics real estate. So forum.senw.io.
Oh, that's great.
And you can go on there, make your own post, and talk about all the things that are important to you, and have real estate pros like me or others, comment on it and have those conversations.
Oh, that's great. That's a great idea. It's a great idea to have.
Yeah, it is.
Great.
I'm gonna have to check that out.
Check it out.
Let's do it. All right, Bo, I think we got our outro right here.
Thanks for tuning in to Commercially Speaking. If this episode brought you any value,
Or if it got you thinking about data centers and how important they are to America in the arms race against China,
then make sure to subscribe to us on YouTube and Spotify. Leave us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts and join our newsletter at subscribe.wgbaron.com. Every week we send out new episodes, leadership insights, and all the content that I actually enjoy.
and that I skim aggressively.
Also, check out superpowershq.com/commercially speaking if you're ready to scale your CRE biz with a virtual assistant who actually gets things done.
For those in the back, that's superpowershq.com/commercially speaking. Now, if you'll excuse me, I need to close this episode the only way I know how.
Huge thanks again to our guest Simon Enwia for joining us and providing that education actually can pay off.
That's right. And as always, Barbara Corcoran, we are still waiting. We've sent the letters. We've written the jingles. I've even moved the boxes out of my guest bedroom. And all we need is you.
There's no way she'd stay in your guest bedroom.
I don't know. The twin mattress has another twin mattress underneath it, so it pulls out into a queen for my queen.
Yeah, there's no way she'd stay in your guest bedroom. We'll see you next week on Commercially Speaking.
Bye, Alice.
Bye, Alice.
Bye, Alice.
Bye, Bridget.
Bye, Bridget.
Oh, one final cheers, huh?
Cheers, guys. And then here's your whiskey. I actually got you whiskey.
What? Oh my goodness. That's amazing.
I apologize for the box being a little beat up. That's my luggage was very heavy.
Oh, I don't mind. I don't mind about a broken box. It's all about what's in the bottle. Thank you so much, Simon.
That's great.
Thank you so much.
That felt more like a conversation than a
that's how we do it, man.
podcast. I loved it.
Good.
That's how we do it.